Hello everyone, my name is Gus.
Hi, I'm Woody.
Today we have a subset of a really long video. This video has been requested a few times, but the video is over an hour long and it has 7 stories about cave diving. Dude, you're blinding me with those things. What are you doing?
No, I'm celebrating
Those are the
you.
brightest shoes I've ever
I'm
seen.
celebrating you. This is a positive bonding moment.
Okay, we were just talking about death.
Right.
Okay.
Do you understand this? Just can you connect with your emotional side that I'm wearing you?
I am. Okay. That's
not weird.
I'm just saying.
I'm celebrating you.
Okay.
I mean, and pink and purple. So Terry's colors are purple. Mine are pink.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted you guys to know that's how I feel about you. It's just one of those days where I felt like I wanted to wear you both.
It's cool.
wanted to
You
celebrate
got here
both.
5 minutes ago. I saw the shoes 2 hours ago as you were approaching.
Right, that's how I feel every time I dive with you.
The
It
studio.
hurts
It
my
doesn't-
eyes every
okay.
time I dive on a boat.
All right. So back to the video. So this video has been requested a bunch of times. And I mean, I understand that people say, if I'm going to watch a video, make it as long as possible. But an hour video would take us 2 days to react.
Has
Going in
anybody on-
tangents like shoes and stuff.
Has anybody on YouTube ever lasted a full hour on anything? With the way social media and attention is today, or TikTok?
No.
An hour is like a month.
So this video includes 7 stories from cave dives or diving in icebergs and stuff like that. So I just grabbed 2. We're going to react to 2 stories, just random in the middle. I think it's story 3 and 4 or something like that.
Okay.
And we're going to react to them. And that way we give people, you know, what they're asking for, which is a reaction on this video. But you can also go and watch the original video from the channel that released it if you are interested in the other stories.
All right, and during it, I got you and Terry on me, so I'm fully supported.
Okay, let's watch.
Level 3, the intestine.
Okay.
On August
Good
19,
name.
2016, a group of 12 divers set out to explore the underwater caves off the coast of Palinuro, Italy.
I'm in.
Among
My
them
reaction
were
is,
Mauro
why are we
Carmadella,
not there?
What are we doing? Why are we not going to Italy and diving all these amazing caves?
The second the word Italy is on the screen,
Yeah.
of course I want to dive, but it's Italy.
And they have the best food in Italy.
I'm going to dive and chow down on the single best food in the world.
They have Burger King,
They do have a Burger King.
which I love. So we're in. Let's see the intestine.
Mauro Tancredi and Silvio Anzola. 3 highly experienced divers with a long history of successful dives. Carmadella owned a local diving center, and Tancredi was a dive instructor.
Irrelevant.
These 3 knew what they were doing and what they were in for.
Nope.
Yet, despite their expertise, this dive would end in tragedy.
All right, let's interject here because I feel like we've talked about this in the past, but sometimes it's not clear because I keep hearing this when I talk to people, especially about cave diving, where, you know, if you tell someone that you are a cave diver, like sometimes they ask me, it's like, what's your favorite place to dive? And my standard answer to that is it depends. It depends on the kind of diving that I'm doing. If it's a cave dive, I have a favorite place to cave dive, which is Glass Factory. I love that dive. If they're talking about wrecks, I have my favorite wreck and whatnot. So it depends on the type of diving that you're doing. But inevitably, if cave diving comes up, somebody will say, oh, I have a cousin or a friend or a coworker whose husband is a dive instructor. So he probably has a favorite cave too.
Always you get that.
Like, being an instructor in diving means nothing when it comes to cave diving. And this whole notion, and you and I have met some instructors that feel that now that you're an instructor, you're at the tip of the spear.
There's
nowhere to go.
Yes, but I do think, in fairness to them, because I was there, they don't know.
Right.
Right? It's not, they don't understand until you go through a full-blown cave diving class, or even more extreme, go through a cave diving DPV rebreather class with Ed, and you will realize this is not a crack. That's how much more there is. And it blows your mind because you thought you were not being arrogant. You thought, I did it. I reached the top. It's not. And you know what's really amazing about it?
Yeah.
It's not even close.
It's a joke.
Like, it's almost like you just started diving. That's the distance between what I just described versus even a top recreational instructor. There's just no way, unless you go through that training and experience that level of detail you have to have. It's not for ego, but for safety.
Yeah.
You just do not know. You have no idea.
Well, because the way I think about diving is that it's like branches in a tree. And I think being a recreational dive instructor is one of those branches, is the recreational dive branch. And I feel like if you become a recreational dive instructor, maybe you are close to the tip of that branch. But to say that because you're a recreational dive instructor, you're somehow an expert, that let's say someone doing a technical dive to 330 feet open circuit is going to look up to you because you can teach people how to recover a regulator they dropped out of their mouth. Like, come on. It's not to say that if you're a tech diver, you're better than a recreational instructor. There are some amazing recreational instructors. It's just that for the people that get into diving and see becoming an instructor as the tip of the spear, this is the best I can be, that's just not true. You know, you can be an instructor and be a mediocre diver in other scenarios, just like you can be an amazing diver and a really bad instructor. There's people that are amazing divers that I'm like, I would not let you teach a class to one of my kids. Like, you know, there's a skill that is required for you to be able to teach, and patience and grace and like all of those things that are required for you to be an instructor. And then there's a set of skills that are required for you to be a cave diver, a tech diver, commercial diver is another branch of this tree. So, yeah, every time I watch a video where they're like, they knew what they were doing, he was an instructor. What?
But they just
What's
don't
that have
know.
to do with anything?
They don't know. That's the summary. I didn't know. You didn't know. They don't know. You don't know. You
Yeah,
just
but
don't
that's why
know.
we have Dive Talk. We can tell people.
Absolutely, and I agree. I stayed quiet with everything you said because I was just shaking my head. Yes, you said it perfectly.
And I will say that even though when I say cave diving is higher than recreational instructor, whatever, in terms of skills and things you can do, anyone can become a cave diver. This is not some elitist, only 1% of 1% best divers in the world. No. If you're willing to put in the work and go through the training and go through the headache of learning all these procedures and do it properly with a good instructor, you can become a cave diver too. This is not like you're not elite. You know, we just went through the work. We put in the work. That's it. So anyway, let's see what the Italian instructor we're up to.
The caves of Palinuro are known for their intricate tunnel systems and crystal clear waters.
And by the
which
way,
is
that's
highly
not the
unusual
caves,
for
just so
caves
you
like
know.
this.
That spot they're showing
Despite
right there
that,
is
they
a
also
tourist
pose
spot.
significant risk.
Hold on.
Is that the Blue Grotto?
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever?
the Blue Grotto. They have underwater lights.
Oh, those are lights?
Those are lights. 100%. The whole thing is set up.
Yeah.
Before you get into it, because
Uh-huh.
it's in the, I'm just going to say it's in the Sicily area. I don't know
Why-
if you ever
why are
watched
you-
The Sopranos, but,
Okay.
well,
why are you using? Is it in Sicily or not? Like, why are you?
it's close to that.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that area is known that certain things are controlled by certain people.
Yeah.
So before the boat goes into the public-owned,
Yeah.
state-owned cave thing,
Yeah.
there's a guy with a boat full of cash. You pay that toll, but your little boat stops at his little boat.
Yeah.
He looks like your arms.
That's okay.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm saying it's similar to your arms.
So he looks
Pay a
good.
guy like you,
Yeah.
with that kind of gangster,
Good-looking guy. Okay.
illegal stuff
We get
on your
it. We
arms,
get it.
and then you get to go in. Your boat gets to go into this tourist,
Andiamo.
and it's beautiful. Okay,
Grazie.
I know it's a big deviation.
Ciao.
Many of the caves have silty floors that can obscure visibility with even the slightest disturbance.
That's true.
The three of them were taking part in a training dive with a bigger group,
thought
heading
they were
down
experts.
to explore near a wall known as Immersione in Parete.
I'm
This
hungry
wall
just from
was
hearing
known
that.
to contain openings leading to various other underwater tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
The dive began as
AKA a
planned.
cave.
The group descended into the depths, navigating through the complex cave system. But at some point, Camardella, Tancredi, and Anzola separated
Say
from
their
the main
names.
group.
Wait.
Where they went, nobody knew.
Tagliatelle, Anzola, and Gorgonzola.
Tony Soprano.
In fact,
Who are making
to this
fun of
day,
people who
it's
probably
not
died.
clear
We haven't
whether
seen
they
this video.
Or we're gonna
intended
die.
to enter the cave system,
Well, we're
or
all
if they
gonna
were
die.
drawn in by curiosity or disorientation. Whatever the motivation, they entered into a section of the cave known as the Scaletta, or
Scaletta.
Cave of the Ladder, a dangerous area that few
I thought Scala was ladder, not Scaletta. Maybe Scaletta is like little ladder. For those of you Italians watching, comment below. Is Scaletta small?
Isn't
ladder?
Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese all the same language? Or is that?
I know
is
they
that
all sound the
rude?
same to
Is that
you,
ru-
but no,
no?
they're different.
One
languages.
says O, one says ah, one says e. Or is that simplifying it a little bit too much? Would you say?
I know that to you speaking Spanish, you should take the word in English and just add o at the end. I know that's how you learn.
90% of the words
like
are that,
Troco and hamburgero. Like
You
you
know-
just add o at the end.
which is somewhat true.
It's surprisingly accurate, but those three, those three are separate languages.
ever visited due to its depth and narrow passages. As they moved deeper into the cave, conditions deteriorated rapidly. The silty floor was disturbed by their flippers, clouding the perfect water and reducing visibility to almost nothing.
Can
Without
happen.
clear sightlines or reliable navigation tools,
Oops.
finding the way out became nearly impossible. It was only at this point that these experienced divers realized they had made a critical error, having forgotten to lay the escape rope along the whole length of the cave's lower passage. Had they done so, they could have found their way out.
Yeah.
At 10 a.m., the
That really is a death trap. If you don't lay the line in a cave and you think you could remember your way out, when you turn around, you're going to see 10 different tunnels that you could have sworn you came through.
Yeah. It's
No way.
It's mind blowing when you see feedback from people that are like, you just follow the way out, the way
No
you
way.
came in. Just remember it. We've done dives in caves that it's like our 20th dive, 30th dive, and I would still get lost if the line wasn't
No
there.
question
You
about it.
can't. Even though I've done it dozens of times, you think you're gonna remember that rock from that other rock and make a left in that hole versus that whole other hole? Like, no chance. You
way.
will not remember it.
Nope.
Yeah.
The rest of the group surfaced safely and waited for the trio. But when the three divers failed to reemerge at the designated time, everyone grew increasingly alarmed. Attempts to locate them failed quickly. The murky water made it impossible to see anything inside the cave. Unable to solve this themselves, the group contacted the authorities. Rescue operations commenced immediately, but faced major challenges. The narrowness of the tunnels and poor visibility made efforts almost impossible. Divers from Italy's fire brigade and cavers with expertise in underwater caves joined the search, all hoping to be the one to do the impossible. After 4 grueling hours, rescuers located 2 bodies, Camardella and Tancredi, inside a silted-out chamber deep within the Scaletta cave system. Their equipment suggested they had been trapped in a dead-end tunnel with no way out. The recovery of Silvio
How did they get in
Ansola's
if there was
body
no way out?
proved even more difficult than they had expected. His remains were wedged in an especially tight passage further inside the cave. For days, rescue teams worked tirelessly to retrieve him while battling these increasingly dangerous conditions. It took 6
How does it get more
days.
dangerous?
They finally managed to retrieve Ansola's body from
Dang.
the scene. The tragedy shocked not only the local diving community, but also those familiar with Pelinuro's underwater caves. Many were asking questions about the 3 divers and whether they were really prepared for something like this. While all 3 were experienced scuba divers, they didn't hold
point.
any specific certifications for cave diving,
Go.
a discipline that requires very different skills and equipment. Experts speculated that their deaths were a result of several factors: disorientation caused by silt clouds, potential equipment failure, and, most likely, panic as they realized they were lost in a labyrinthine system with dwindling air supplies. Friends and family mourned the divers publicly on social media, expressing their disbelief that such skilled professionals could meet their end in such a situation. Crush syndrome.
Yeah.
In 1992, a
So this is
caver
the
in
next one.
Tennessee was descending into the depths of a challenging cave system known as Banshee Hole.
Oh
His
boy.
name has never been publicized. He would go on to become one of the most notable stories of caving in the region. The caver had been exploring Banshee Hole alone, which in itself is a highly risky move.
Is that you?
This looks terrible. Absolutely terrible.
No.
Not scary, just horrible. Like a horrible experience. Like watching soccer, almost. Not as bad, but almost as bad.
Not that bad. That's
Anyway, here's why I love cave diving. You see that humongous hole? How easy would it be to swim through that? Go up and down and left and right and like effortless. Zero risk of me falling to my death like this guy.
we've talked about it many times. I mean, there's a thrill. It's a big thrill. I've done some of this, and with professionals that have helped me, and it's thrilling. I mean, it is. It's exhilarating. That's it. I mean, it's the same difference of opinion that we've always had. It is something. It is cool. It's pretty neat. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Would I rather that whole thing be filled with water? And obviously, look at the size of that.
1000%. Look at
Can't
that
even
thing.
hit anything. You could dive vertical like this recreational scuba's try. I mean, you could dive like that, and you'd be fine in this thing.
It would be amazing if this thing was flooded with water. I would do it in a
agree.
heartbeat. But
I
like
agree.
this guy just hanging in there for...
He's happy.
Okay.
Move. The cave is notorious for tight spaces and vertical drops, requiring serious technical skill and endurance just to get through it.
Yeah.
It's not known whether he was able to get into the cave and explore it, but at some point during his ascent or descent, he encountered difficulties that left him unable to move, hanging in his harness. Nobody knows whether it was exhaustion or equipment failure, but what is certain is that he remained suspended for approximately 4 hours before rescue teams arrived to help him.
That
The
would be
Cumberland County
brutal.
Rescue Squad responded swiftly, arriving within
Why
You're-
would it be
minutes and
brutal?
immediately.
Hanging on that rope for 4 hours?
But if you
You're-
have like a harness, aren't you comfortable?
No. It's not
It's
that
not
comfortable
comfortable?
after a while, no. And by the way, at least from that photo or that imagery, he just had the rope wrapped around him. It's not that comfortable.
No,
I
if
mean,
you had the rope
even
wrapped around it,
even
yeah.
climbing harnesses after a while, they start to affect your. I mean, you know what they're next to.
I get it.
You're just.
But aren't
Dead.
those supposed to be comfortable? And if they're
It's
not,
like sitting on this thing.
if they're not, how come we don't design a harness that is comfortable?
I know it's shocking, but I'm not a harness engineer.
What?
Not yet.
assessing the situation. It wasn't a total doomed disaster. The victim was still alive.
Oh.
He was visibly deteriorating.
I
His
bet.
body sagged against the harness, his breathing labored,
It's terrible.
and his skin pale and clammy, a clear indication that his circulation was severely compromised. If they were to save him, they had to be extremely careful. The rescuers worked methodically to stabilize him and free him from the harness.
This
They
is-
reinforced the rigging to ensure it wouldn't fall, and then every single movement they made was precise, every command deliberate. Time was of the essence not only to extract him, but also to manage the physical trauma caused by prolonged suspension like this.
Plus, he needs a burger.
Okay.
He needs a hamburger. I mean, you're starved. When I come out of those caves with Dave, who's taking me in there,
Yeah.
you're so hungry.
Yeah. Here's the question. This is just me. I know people think I have a PhD in caving. I don't. So I'm gonna add, or in ropes. I
Or in
don't.
anything.
But I have a question. This will sound ignorant, but
Will be.
if the guy was descending and this rope got around him and now he cannot go up or down, he's stuck. Could you not secure a different rope to his harness, existing harness, and just cut the one that he's trapped in? I'm asking, just for real. Like, I am curious. So I'm a rescuer. I come in with a different rope that is not tied around you. Is there a way to feed that rope through his existing harness and just cut the one that he had before off, so at least it drops and it's not crushing him?
And the reason you're asking me is because you are acknowledging that I am an expert, obviously, in this, both at attaching the ropes and the knots that I would use.
Out of the
'Cause you've
people in
seen the
this
knot.
room, yes.
It sounds reasonable. I would tie the knot around him and hope he didn't slip and fall and die.
Right.
But if the guys that really know, I'm sure that is part of the way they rescue. I will tell you the one time that I didn't listen in slot canyoneering. I'm serious. I'm going to answer your question.
Yeah.
And I absolutely did not listen to the instructions they gave you. At least 10 times they tell you.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Do not go without us and jump into what we call a keeper hole. A keeper hole, imagine, is this circle filled with water. Number one, when you land in it, you could land on something that's protruding. It could go right through. You can't see in it. And all of the walls are smooth. How are you going to get out? You just jumped in. How are you going to? You can't climb out. That's what they did. They lowered a rope down and tied me up and lifted me out.
So you fell in it.
I jumped in it immediately, not listening to them, because I thought I was the fastest and the greatest slot canyoneering. Look, I'm so far ahead of everybody. I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm in there. And my ego and my pride kicked in at the beginning. So they're like, because the guides knew, they're like, oh, you okay? I'm like, of course, I'm fine. They're like, okay, come on out.
I'll catch up. Go.
No, they're like, no, come on, get out. Like joking, like they knew. I mean, they were already setting up the rescue.
No, guys.
While they're asking me, they're setting up the
catch
rescue.
up.
No, get out. I'm like, no, I'm just looking around. I'll be out in a
resting.
second.
Bro, just resting.
Beautiful in here. And meanwhile, I'm in sheer panic, knowing there's zero
Can't claw your
claw.
self
You
out of
can't.
here.
You're just in water, mud of not. And they were like, well, okay, you didn't listen. We'll be down to rescue you in front of all your peers that are now waiting.
Everybody, watch this.
Watch
this is
the
what
idiot.
happens when an idiot falls
Yeah,
in the
remember
hole.
the 10 things we told you, which was this one thing not to do? Woody did it.
And everybody said, yeah, that's right.
That's the idiot.
If you know, if you could attach another rope and cut the original one, leave a comment below. Don't try GPT it, though. Because there's people like, Claude, can you, whatever. They just ask AI
Claude
and
knows
just
everything.
copy and paste below. Like, don't.
But
Just
Claude,
answer if
lately,
you know.
I've been using that thing for everything. You could tell
You
that
moved
thing
on
to
to
do
Claude?
everything. I moved on to Claude. Like, go analyze this spreadsheet and come up. It literally will do almost anything you want.
Nice.
They could get him out. He potentially had an even higher risk of dying.
What?
Simply put, they had to save him right, or they would kill him. Hanging like this in a harness for hours restricted blood flow to certain areas of the body,
there's your
causing
answer.
toxins like potassium and lactic acid to accumulate in the compressed tissues.
That's what I thought.
This condition, known as crush syndrome, can become life-threatening when circulation is suddenly restored. The crew eventually succeeded in lowering him to the cave floor. But just as things were looking good, tragedy struck. The caver was carefully released from the harness, but immediately went into cardiac arrest. Crush syndrome was claiming him. The rescuers immediately initiated CPR, but despite their efforts, they could not revive him.
Oh, my God.
At that time, crush syndrome was poorly understood. But later, medical science began to recognize exactly what was going on. When blood flow is restored after being restricted for hours, toxins flood the bloodstream all at once. In severe cases like this one, the sudden surge overwhelms the victim's vital organs and leads
You probably
to
get
catastrophic
myoglobinuria
shock or total organ failure.
I don't know if that's on the chart, but
The incident led
that happens a lot.
This is why it's important.
Myoglobinuria could kick in, from what
Absolutely.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember. This is why I think it's important to not have toxins in your body, like me. Look at me. Clean, zero toxins. That's why it's important.
What happened, though, on your left arm?
All right.
To publicly stress that cavers should never begin rope ascents alone and should be rescued quickly
Or with
if
company.
immobilized on a rope.
Just don't do it.
Or just
In this
cave
case,
dive in water.
Even being saved
Right.
is enough to kill you.
This is,
And
by the way.
while we have you, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this.
Sure. This is why
Jacob's
the way.
Well.
Why?
Did that
Jacob's
video.
Well, nestled
Cool.
in the Texas Hill Country, is
You
a
did
serene
this video by
spring
yourself.
that
It was
harbors
very
a
popular.
deadly
A long time ago.
secret.
This is why cave diving is safer than caving. I mean, whatever. You comment below with statistics and ask Claude about it. That guy would have survived, no problem, if he was
didn't
cave diving.
have toxins in his body, as you do on both arms now.
All right.
Beneath its pretty appearance. Its crystal clear waters
Jacob's
lure
well is
swimmers and
drying
thrill
up,
Where is
by
it,
the
by the way?
all
Texas.
over.
Texas.
But this is one of the most treacherous
But can you
cave
dive it still?
systems in the world.
Wow.
No, it's apparently super dry. Like right now they're for a while they closed it for divers and they were allowing people to just go swimming there because you jump from like a high rock and land in it or whatever. But now it's like so dried up that like the water is way below the rock, so you can't even do anything.
Over the years, at least 9 confirmed deaths and possibly as many as 12 have occurred here.
When you're outside and you're walking around, are you scared a little bit now? You know what's going on with ice, and I'm just saying you got tattoos and darker hair and you have an accent. Are you? It just dawned on me to ask you that question. Are you nervous, or do you just cover up? Think about it. I don't want to.
You had me at go outdoors. I don't leave this
making
studio.
it an infamous spot among divers. Of course, that notoriety is exactly why so many divers
looks like
flock
Peacock.
there. Everybody wants to be the one to survive the impossible. The underwater cave system is composed of 4 chambers, each progressively more
It's actually way more than
dangerous.
4.
The first chamber is relatively straightforward, dropping 25 feet into the spring. The second chamber descends another 35 feet, but it's notorious for its deceptive fake chimney, a false exit which has trapped and killed at least one other diver who mistook it for the way out.
Dumb.
Those who
Mine
manage
would
not to
help.
fall for that trap make their way down
Exactly.
to the third chamber, which slopes gently downward to a depth of 75 feet. And then to the fourth chamber, a narrow passageway that has claimed just
really
as
not that
many
deep.
lives due to its tight
This cave.
confines and unstable gravel slopes.
Whoa.
Divers must squeeze through openings as narrow as 15 inches wide, often pushing their gear ahead of them in total darkness. Even seasoned divers have met their end here. One of the most famous incidents occurred in September 1979. 2 young divers from Pasadena, Kent Malpin and Mark Brashear, decided to explore Jacob's Well for the first time. Both of them were
Why not?
experienced. Ken, in particular, had been diving since age 12 and was a certified instructor.
There you go.
That confidence proved fatal.
Yep.
Later at night, while others in their group were setting up camp, Malpin and Brashear entered the well with plans to reach that infamous 4th chamber, knowing full well about its history. Witnesses saw them backing into the narrow entrance without safety lines or backup lights. Recovery efforts stretched over a week, but ultimately failed to retrieve their bodies.
Experienced
Some remains were found
divers
years later.
with no lights
Kent's
and
body
no
was only
guideline.
discovered 2 decades
Bro.
after his death.
What are we doing?
But it's not just the physical, environmental challenges that test cavers here. It's also a matter of panic and equipment failure. In July 2015, Diego Adame, a 21-year-old freediver from San Antonio, was diving into the caves when he suddenly lost one of his flippers and began struggling against the water's strong flow. His oxygen was rapidly running out as he fought to ascend without the proper equipment to do so. So close to the surface, but still weighed down by his equipment, Diego made the risky choice to cut away his weight belt and kick furiously towards the surface. He broke through just as his breath gave out, a narrow escape that left him shaken but alive. He was one of the few people ever to make it out of the caves with his life.
Oh
Even
my
those tasked
God.
with recovering victims face
Brutal.
life-threatening situations in
So
Jacob's Well.
exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people have dived Jacob's Well. I would have to assume it's dozens, if not hundreds of people. So to say that he was one of the few that made it out alive. Come on.
There's so many
Bro.
of these kind of videos that exaggerate all of that.
And it's so scary, Jacob's Well. So scary that I wish we would dive it this weekend. Like
It doesn't look that deep or anything.
It looks amazing. Like I would love to. And yeah, I mean, those fake chimneys, you could have 10 fake chimneys. Doesn't matter. We have a guideline that goes to the right one. You follow the guideline to the exit. That's it. It's not that hard. Because I remember when I reacted to the Jacob's Well video a long time ago, people were like, well, they should shut it up. They should seal those chimneys with a metal gate so people don't make a mistake. No, we follow the guideline. You don't need to seal anything. Just follow the guideline to the exit. That's it.
Don Dibble, a dive shop owner with decades of experience, nearly lost his life during a recovery mission in 1979 while searching for Maupin and Brashier's remains. Dibble became trapped in sliding gravel at the bottom of the third chamber,
That's real.
buried past his waist with only 10 minutes of air left in his tank. Unable to free himself or signal for help, he began to spasm involuntarily. In an insane twist of fate, it was those spasms that miraculously dislodged him from the gravel just in time for rescue divers to intervene. But it wasn't a clean rescue. Dibble suffered severe injuries during his ascent, and the air trapped inside him expanded as he surfaced, rupturing his stomach wall. Authorities have done everything to seal off Jacob's well, but every effort has failed, in part because the divers are so determined to explore it no matter what. Authorities once installed a steel grate at about 70 feet down to prevent access to the caves, but within months it was dismantled by divers who left a defiant note reading, "You can't keep us out." It doesn't matter how many people die there, the divers want to explore it. Level 4. Nutty Putty.
All right.
On November 24,
This is
2009,
highly
John
requested
Edward Jones, a 26-year-old medical student and father of one, ventured into Utah's Nutty Putty cave with his brother Josh and a few other family members. It was meant to be a fun outing during Thanksgiving week, a chance to reconnect through an activity they had enjoyed as children.
I'm hoping that you caught that. This whole thing was meant to be a fun outing. See how bad things will get.
John had grown up exploring caves with his father and siblings, but it had been years since they had done this. At 6 feet tall and weighing around 200 pounds, he was...
That right there is pure ecstasy for Dave. What you see right there, it's actually a little too wide.
It's a birth canal.
I've been in stuff with him where you're just in wet water below you and just mud, and you're scraping, and you have to have your head sideways for like a half a mile, and he's so happy.
How about pickleball? This is that's so much
He was
easier.
no longer the small boy who could easily
something
navigate
else.
tight spaces, but that didn't mean he wouldn't try. Nutty Putty Cave, located southwest of Utah Lake, was notorious for its narrow passageways and challenging twists, which had led many experienced cavers into serious trouble. Even though it had been reopened earlier that year with stricter safety protocols, many cavers chose to avoid it.
That's what it looks
Among
like.
its many unique features was a passage called the Birth Canal, a tight but navigable route that John intended to explore. However, as he crawled deeper into the cave, he mistakenly entered an unmapped section known as Ed's Push.
By the way, there is no line. We've talked about this before in dry caving.
Crazy.
There's no line. I mean, I have definitely been lost. Like without Dave, I'm like, they no chance I can get back out. Million holes like this look the same. There is no line.
Yep.
This area was far narrower than the birth canal and much harder to get through. Believing he was on the correct path, John pressed forward head first into a downward vertical fissure measuring just 10 by 18 inches.
You want to do that?
Soon realized he had made a mistake. The fissure abruptly ended in a dead end, leaving him with no room to turn around. Attempting to back out, he became wedged in an almost completely vertical upside-down position,
a slow,
with his arms
miserable
pinned
death
beneath him.
Terrible.
Trapped approximately 400 feet from the cave entrance.
Look at that.
John was stuck in one of the most dangerous positions for the human body.
Nuts.
Josh discovered John's predicament and quickly alerted the rest of the group. By midnight, professional rescuers arrived to assess the situation. Over the next 27 hours, a total of 137 rescuers worked tirelessly to free John. The narrow tunnel restricted movement, making it nearly impossible to bring in equipment or tools. Rescuers had to resort to ropes, pulleys, and even peanut oil in attempts to slide him out of the fissure. They managed to partially lift him using a complex pulley system anchored to bolts drilled into the cave walls. The strain on the system caused the key bolt to fail, leading to the rescuers losing their grip on John. He slid back into the crevice, this time even deeper than before. The failure not only set back their progress, but also left John in an even more precarious position. His body was now under extreme stress from being inverted for so long. Blood pooled in his head and chest due to gravity.
Horrible.
His circulation was severely compromised.
Nightmare.
As the hours passed, John managed to remain conscious for much of the ordeal.
You don't want to do that
and
for a
communicated with
nice
rescuers
Saturday
as they
afternoon?
worked frantically around him.
Fun outing.
By the evening of November 25th, his breathing became shallow and irregular. A medical professional who managed to reach him confirmed that
The activity guide says torture and a barbecue. You get it all in one day.
Wow. I'll just do the barbecue part.
he had gone into cardiac arrest shortly before midnight. After nearly 28 hours trapped in unimaginable conditions, John Edward Jones was pronounced dead at the scene. Due to the location of his body and the risks involved in further excavation efforts, authorities determined that recovering John's remains would be too dangerous. With his family's consent, Nutty Putty Cave was permanently sealed shortly after his death. Explosives were used to collapse part of the cave near where John's body rested, ensuring it would remain undisturbed. And just to make sure nobody could ever repeat the incident, concrete was poured over all entrances to prevent future access. Today, a plaque at the Nutty Putty Cave entrance commemorates John Edward Jones. Bloomington Cave. On December
So let's pause right here for a second, because one of the things that I've mentioned when people ask me about this guy and Nutty Putty Cave is, if this was cave diving, this guy wouldn't have died. Because even though in cave diving you can get stuck in features just like this, you don't have gravity pulling you down, right? As a matter of fact, there is a chance that if you get stuck vertically, you could inflate your BCD and just that added lift take you out of there, because you're not going to fall and wedge yourself like with your weight. If you get stuck, it's going to be like you're trying to go in and kind of like try to wiggle in and realize that, oh, I can't do it. Then you just wiggle yourself out. Like, I've rarely been in positions where I feel like I'm not going to be able to get out of this one. Like, because it's only based on your weightless. It's completely different. So this guy would have survived if he was cave diving. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, but there have been people that have died wedged while cave diving where they could not move. There's been a bunch of cases of that.
Yeah.
You can get wedged. The gear can get wedged. The tank can be jammed in too tight. I've been in that Shangri-La, man. That thing is so tight. I mean, for me, that's the tightest thing I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And I could see you getting jammed in there. Not you. Anybody getting jammed in there and not being able to back out. You can get line trapped in there. I think I did. I think Mehdi had to pull my fins a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just, there are some really tight spots even in a underwater cave.
And I've been in places where my buddy or me have been stuck, and then we have a system of communication from behind where you tap your heels, and that means pull me, and they can pull you out, and then you're out. But that's the advantage of not having gravity working against you, and that's why I keep saying that although I am crazy about cave diving, I have zero interest in dry caving because of all these problems. Falling and breaking your ankle, falling into a hole that you can't get out unless somebody rescues you out of it because you didn't pay attention to the briefing. Like, all those things are just not going to happen. And now I know that you can make the argument and be like, well, those guys would have survived that cave diving incident if they were caving, because they wouldn't have run out of air. They could have continued to look for the exit for days until they pass out because of they didn't have any more water or whatever. Like, I get it. There's pros and cons of both. But in some of these incidents, like the Nutty Putty Cave, for example, I am certain that this guy wouldn't have died the way he died if this was cave diving. In this particular case, I think he would have survived. So,
well,
24th, 2002.
One thing I'm certain of is, based on that statement that you just made, we're going to get about 500 comments.
That's good.
Of
All supportive, of course.
That are going
That's
to
what
say
you may,
that you don't have a PhD in anything.
Kylie Jacques, a 17-year-old from Plainsfield, Illinois, embarked on a recreational outing with her residential treatment group, Integrity House. The group consisted of 15 students and 5 counselors, all part of a program designed to help teenagers struggling with emotional issues, substance abuse, and behavioral disorders. The group ventured into Bloomington Cave,
I have 2 of those.
and notoriously dangerous cave system near St. George, Utah. The excursion was
Are all
meant to
dangerous
provide the
caves in
teens
Utah?
with a break from their
Lot of
structured lives at the treatment
What
center,
are we doing?
a chance to bond and explore. But for Kylie, it would end in tragedy.
Well,
The group had made their way deep into the cave system, but to keep them safe, the leader urged them to hold hands while navigating across a cliff in the dark. But the wetness and lack of clarity led Kylie to lose her footing, falling nearly 100 feet from a ledge within the cave.
through the
Several
ground?
students and counselors saw her plunge, describing the fall as sudden, catastrophic, with no time to react or prevent it. Attempts were made to perform CPR on her at the scene. She was already in full cardiac arrest by the time they reached her.
Dang, dude.
The remote nature of Bloomington Cave made it difficult for emergency services to respond to the emergency. The group had no way to call for immediate help from inside the cave system. Someone had to hike back out to its entrance to alert authorities. By the time rescuers arrived, it was clear that Kylie could not be saved. But still, her body had to be painstakingly recovered from the cave's narrow and treacherous passages, a process that lasted much of the day. Kylie's death raised serious questions about the safety protocols, or lack thereof, employed by Integrity House during these kinds of outings. Bloomington Cave had already been flagged as highly dangerous. Just earlier that year, another teenager had been rescued after falling in the same cave system.
Bro.
Sheriff Kirk Smith later remarked that this was the first fatality he could recall occurring in Bloomington Cave, and
This
used
cave
it
is
to
a menace.
reaffirm its inherent risks. But in the immediate aftermath of Kylie's death, Integrity House remained tight-lipped about what had happened. A man answering calls at the facility declined to comment on the incident when contacted by reporters. However, it turns out that was the best thing they could have done. Shortly after the incident, Integrity House began lying about the circumstances surrounding Kylie's death. Instead of acknowledging that she fell due to poor supervision in a dangerous environment, representatives from Integrity House reportedly claimed she died of a heart attack.
What?
A blatant misrepresentation of events. This false narrative isn't new. Many residential treatment programs like Integrity House have a habit of doing things like this. These programs operate under what has come to be known as the troubled teen industry, and they've long been accused of prioritizing profit over safety and well-being, often subjecting teens to harsh conditions and questionable practices under the guise of therapy. In Kylie's case, Integrity House failed not only its duty to protect her, but also in its moral obligation to tell the truth about her death. It was too worried about its own reputation and profits.
Wow.
Former employees and residents of Integrity House have since spoken out about systemic issues within the program. Allegations of abuse, both physical and emotional, have been levied against its operators. Kylie's death was a tragedy, but also something sadly predictable given the circumstances.
All right. Yeah, that's terrible.
It's been a pleasant recording session.
Yeah.
One death and miserable experience
People
after another, hanging upside down for hours in a harness.
But like this cave is a menace, dude. Like I think Indiana Jones would see that and be like, I'm not going in there. That's
It is.
way too dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, I've been there where, as a brand new, never slot canyoneering before, they take you and stuff where you're like vertical, like they're saying, and your legs are pushing against one wall and your back against another. And that's the only thing, you got to push hard enough to keep you from sliding straight down. Like, should I? I've got 54 minutes of this experience in my repertoire, and I'm now sliding down a wall.
Head
and
first.
if I happen to not, my legs slip for a second, I'm bye-bye. They
I
do
mean,
that. It's legal. I mean,
I appreciate these organizations and camps that are taking, in this case, it seems like trouble youth to have experiences like that instead of
I
like
was just youth. I was in trouble. There was a couple years ago.
instead of staying home and like getting bullied online and all this stuff, they take him out there, because it's like I've noticed, I don't know if it is when you grew up, maybe they didn't have casts back then, but when I grew up, kids always had casts. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you walk into a classroom in like third or fourth grade,
Sign it.
it looks like a VA hospital.
And
it's
you
like
couldn't wait.
everybody
Sign my cast.
cast sign my leg. Some kid is today. All the injuries are like emotional. You don't see kids with casts.
No.
Like my son has broken multiple bones, like playing lacrosse or whatever. He's always like the only one in class with a cast. Whereas for me, I have had a cast like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. There was always other kids with casts. Like, so I appreciate that they are taking kids out or whatever. But at the same time, you have to be accountable if somebody gets hurt and just be like, yeah, we went to a cave or whatever and they got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I remember though, you're signing so many friggin' waiver forms, and I'm not sure what their liability is after that.
Yeah.
But, I basically agreed, hey, this is my responsibility. It's dangerous. It's blah, blah, blah. And, you go in, you do it.
Yeah.
You think you're with these guys that are very experienced operators, and you do gain a sense of trust for them when they take you in these. But
There's always someone who doesn't listen to the debriefing or the briefing and
jumps
does
in a
stupid
keeper
stuff. Not saying that she did that, but you know how exciting it would be if we were in an underwater cave and the floor opens up and there's another chamber down there
Oh, yeah.
that nobody had found before? Dude, we'll be high-fiving each other like, oh my God, you just broke through the
Oh, no, that's heaven. That's,
ground and found another chamber?
that's
It's
the
insane.
dream. That's the dream.
That is the dream.
It's
That's
hard to
crazy.
do.
Anyway,
Hard to find.
a lot of crazy stories today.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the upbeat session. I feel really terrible.
That's
Well, what happened? I mean,
you
do you
mentioned
think we would get any views if you? We should do it. Let's find one video where it's nothing but happiness. It's just a joyful, happy. Maybe it's some people diving and they see a bunch of colorful fish and see how many views we get.
3
Nobody's
views.
watching that.
Nobody wants us to react to that, but you did mention a couple times one of the reactions we recorded about Jacob's Well, which
Yeah.
is one of the original, if not the very first reaction that was ever on Dive Talk. And I'm going to leave it right here. Just back old school, I don't know, 6 years ago,
Yeah.
whenever it was.
Yeah,
If you haven't watched it.
And I'll end with what I started with.
check
I'm
it.
wearing
Oh
you.
my God.
I'm
Now
wearing-
everybody's blind.
I'm wearing you and Terry all day.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.